All right, everybody. Good morning. This is Dynasty Mir Search for Huru, and we have the brothers Igho and Emeka. And today we are going to be discussing basically, should the Niger Delta Republic separate from Nigeria, or should there be, I don't know, what do you want, Emeka? Several different states or several different countries in Nigeria? Like how's this going to look, Emeka?
Like the same way Yugoslavia was balkanized and separated into different separate sovereign entities and nations. And that's how I want Nigeria to be balkanized and separate into various different nations. I believe Nigeria should have like 6 nations that will break out: the Niger Delta, Biafra, Oduduwa, Arewa, Middle Belt, and yeah, these are the nations I see like breaking away in future.
Okay, Igho, why do you think that's something that's either sustainable or realistic, Igho?
The question I'd ask is to what end? I do think the nameless groups or more autonomy and the devolution of power, but breaking up into separate groups. I mean, to what end? Why, first of all, what's the reason for it in your mind, Emeka?
Because of common sense. I like quoting Albert Einstein, who said, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results." We have been trying to do the same thing over and over, and we haven't gotten different results. Since 1914, Nigeria has been in a mess. We have been witnessing ethnic violence, religious violence, regional violence due to the extreme and sheer heterogeneity of the British trade zone called Nigeria, which was created by Frederick Lugard and his mistress Flora Shaw in London in 1914. So these are reasons we have to break up, because Nigeria is neither a nation nor is it a country. It's a British trade zone created by white people in white London, and trying to protect and uphold the status quo is prolonging colonialism, and is actually playing to the European plan. And we really need to create more. We can't, for the beginning, we can't create absolutely homogeneous nations, but we can definitely create more homogeneous nations, like the Niger Delta, in which we have a more related ethnic diversity, and we have a more homogeneous religious belief systems, and we have similar value systems, and also economic similarities, due to the fact that, for example, we are all oil producing ethnicities and are not part of the former Eastern or Western region, but are now in a South-South geopolitical zone. These are the reasons we really have to support breakup and the destruction of the old colonial system.
Okay. I agree with quite a few aspects of what you were talking about. I do believe there needs to be devolution, more autonomy at the grassroots. But what I'm trying to understand is, you still want to be within the entity of Nigeria. You're still happy for that, just to be broken up?
Nigeria is a geographical expression. There is nothing like, what is Nigeria? Nigeria is, again,
but I mean, there's going to be legal implications and recognition. So would you be happy to still be, as you said, broken up into several nations, but within Nigeria, or you want just those nations would.
Total sovereignty, borders, passports, everything, the whole Jara, as they say in Nigeria. Yes, sir. I want everything. Total separation, absolute separation of all spheres.
Okay, and then how would you feed this into like the wider, say, West African region or Africa as a whole? So it'd just be like new countries, basically.
You know, there's a big difference between me and you. You're Pan-Africanist, I am more of an ethnocentrist, and I cannot. Excuse me?
We had lost you for a second, but go ahead.
Okay. I cannot divide my attention. Yes.
We keep going in and out. That's but go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I cannot divide my attention. I must build my home first. My home region first, before I can ever think of anything West African or Pan-African. If I neglect building, how can I be able to participate or positively influence regions in Africa? It is common sense that only a solid ground to pull you out of a swamp. I can't stand in a swamp like you. If I want to pull off, the best thing is for me, we shall build a strong society, economy, and set the pace for black man.
Okay.
Did you get that, or is it just me, or did you get all that?
I got a bit, but yeah, it is. He is cutting off slightly.
You keep going in and out, Emeka.
I got most of the gist. What I would say is, okay, I like to think of the reality of such situations. The reality of 7 or 8 states forming and having sovereignty out of Nigeria is non-existent. It's not a reality, because you would never have a concerted fight for self-determination on that scale. 8 people trying to have sovereign states and the dissolution of Nigeria is not going to happen. That's why we're bringing it back to the Niger Delta. No one is agitating in the Niger Delta for sovereignty. They want devolution, they want autonomy, but no one's agitated for sovereignty. So the likelihood of that happening, I think, is non-existent. What is more likely to happen is to look at the wider context of regional powers being operating like countries, and then you have the smaller ethnic nations or ethnic states, as you would have, feeding into those, like as we mentioned with the East African Federation, which should be, or which is impending. So I think that's more likely to happen than a balkanization of Nigeria.
Okay, well,
hold on, real quick. Can you we'll start with you, Igho. Can you tell people your background, like where you're from, and I guess how you're associated with the Niger Delta?
Okay. Well, my name is Igho Tubu. I'm from Niger Delta State. I'm from the Yoruba ethnicity or nation or tribe, however you want to call it. So I visited there. My family's from there, parents from there. To what goes on. I've also lived in the western part of Nigeria, southwest, which is Lagos. But my background is in the pharmaceuticals. I work in a pharmaceutical company, work in compliance. I also have a background in one interest in neuroscience as well, and activism, and also a fight for what I'm looking for, which is autonomy at the local level and a kind of super state Africa, which is what I mean.
Okay, Emeka, go ahead.
My brother Igho from Delta is ignorant of many things going on. In the Niger Delta, we have the
Emeka, you keep going in and out. Like you might have to like move wherever you're at in your house, like maybe close to the window. You might have to move close to the window.
Okay. I will try to once more refresh. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, as I said, Igho is ignorant of some things going on in the Niger Delta. I saw him in your last debate with those other brothers, those Pan-Africanists. First and foremost, in the Niger Delta, we have the Niger Delta self-determination movement that is asking for independence. We have the Africans in the southeast. We have the in the southwest asking for independence. I mean, we have
Emeka, go ahead and refresh your browser. It's going in and out.
Okay, hang on.
But so after Emeka comes back, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the debate. Igho, we have a couple questions in the chat room. Question number one, or statement number one is separation is needed, and comparing other potential independent African countries to South Sudan is pure ignorance, because you can't compare mentality of Nilotic people of East Africa to others. What do you think about that statement?
So the person is saying, when asking for separation, we can't bring up what's going on in South Sudan as a reason not to.
Right.
I'm guessing that's what the question is saying.
Correct.
I agree. Every situation is different. Every conflict has its specificities. That one is largely based along religious lines as well, and an age-old conflict going back probably over 500 years. Not everyone who would separate or who would form their own entity would necessarily go into conflict, and that's a fear I hear many people always make. They quote people who've gone into war or had fights, Somalia and Somaliland. You know, as far as I'm aware right now, although Somaliland is a bit cut off in that they don't have full sovereignty, they don't have a passport, it's left to use passport things. So, but as far as I'm aware, they're not fighting each other. So okay. It's not.
Yeah, hold on, Emeka. Let Igho answer a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't think it's an automatic assumption that once people seek self-determination, that they will automatically have conflict with their partner or with their neighbors. It does happen in some instances, but I'll point to where it's happening. But again, that language line, which is in Cameroon or Anglophone, are trying to secede or separate Cameroon, which is along who are French-speaking, Francophone-speaking. But in other parts, say, if I want to put it to Nigeria now, say Biafra seceding from the rest of the country, that is not really on religious lines, it's not on language lines, it's only on resource lines. That's on resource lines primarily. That's what the reason is. So each situation is different. And I just want to, what he meant to Delta Republic.
Damn, brother, we're losing you now too.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, a little bit, but go ahead. Well,
I just want to talk about the Niger Delta. Can you hear me?
That's better. Go ahead, guys. Press 1 in the chat room if you can hear Igho clearly. But just go ahead.
Yeah, he said people are agitating for a Niger Delta Republic. Anyone can agitate for something and slap a name on it and say we are Niger Deltas. But that doesn't mean that it's the whole of Niger Delta that's agitating for it. You know, you can put a name like Biafra, subsume a lot of non-Igbo land and say that's all Biafra as well, which isn't the case. So it's not the title of the group agitating for it that determines agitating for secession.
Okay. All right, Emeka, you want to finish off where you left off?
Yes. Again, in the southeast, the Biafrans are asking for independence. We have Niger Delta movements. In the Niger Delta asking for independence. We have in the southwest Yoruba movements, Oduduwa movements asking for an Oduduwa republic. Tension in Nigeria is high for a good reason. Geopolitical regions want independence for a good reason. Last time when I heard him saying stuff about me or my own ethnic nation, I saw that he was not really enlightened on all parts of the Niger Delta. What he was talking about was his Delta state. For example, in the Niger Delta, first and for all, he made a claim which is absolutely wrong, that the Delta state is the state with most mineral contribution, crude oil contribution to Nigeria, which is absolutely wrong. Secondly, in the Niger Delta, the Niger Delta is not only Delta state. Niger Delta comprises of Edo state, which has the Asian, the Benin, the Akuku Edo, and the other ethnic nations. And we have Delta state with his Urobo, Isoko, Igho, and Ishekiri people. We have Bayelsa state with Ijaws and Urobo groups. We have River state with my ethnic nation, which is the Kwere ethnic nation, the Ihoha ethnic nation, which he called Igbo, which is absolutely a sign of being uninformed. But we have my ethnic nation.
Hold on. You're making some claims that never happened. I never spoke about your people or that state or any other thing. I was talking about the other state because that's where I was from.
Oh, let him finish, Emeka. Let him. Are you done, Igho?
No. I'm just saying he's making some claims on things that I said, but I never said those. I said the whole Niger Delta is Delta state. Huh?
We have it on record. Anyway, I want to say the following. In River State, we have several ethnic nations. We have my ethnic nation, the Kwere Ihoha ethnic nation. We have the Ekpe people, we have the Oba people, we have the Ogoni people, whose civil rights activist was killed by your Nigerian state. Then we have the Jaw people of Kalabari and Okrika, and we have as well the Andoni people. Then we have in Akwa Ibom, we have the Akwa Ibom people, the people in Cross Rivers, which are made of different ethnic nations. So trying to say like the Niger Delta is comprised of only Urobo, Ijaw, and Ishekiri, for example, is absolutely wrong. You said that some people were born in River State, and the answer is Igbo means they're Igbos and they were born in River State, and that is why doesn't mean they're Rivers people in Delta State. You said you had a friend in Delta State. But let me tell you something. My ethnic nation is more than 1,000 years where we are. We're a hybrid. You could say we're a hybrid ethnic nation due to the fact that we have Bini ancestors and as well Igbo ancestors. But our male progenitor was from Benin, from the ancient Benin kingdom. So there are many things you still have to learn about before you make such claims or misinform people. The Niger Delta is very large. The Niger Delta is made up of 6 current states of the South region, and we have different people with different mindsets. Of course, we have people supporting one Nigeria, even if they killed people like Adakabo, even if they killed people like Keta Oruba, yet they support the Nigerian fascist Islamist central government to the detriment of their own people. Understand? So please, as well, on my own person, when you said my name is Igho or whatever, I would like to ask you the following. Michael Collins, have you heard of Michael Collins before?
Have I heard of what?
Michael Collins.
Michael Collins.
Yes. Have you heard of him?
No. Who's that?
He's an Irish freedom fighter who liberated Ireland from the British Empire in 1916. The name sounds English, right? But he was Irish. So I'm trying to define someone's identity by his name is absolutely outdated and it is wrong. So please, I just want to let you know for future notice.
Okay. All right. Your name is Emeka.
Yes.
Is Emeka an Igbo name?
Yes.
Okay. So I identified your name as Igho, and you just confirmed it. So I'm quite confused about the long soliloquy you just made, but I'll leave that aside. Now,
you said Emeka is an Igbo name. Emeka is as well an Igbo name. Emeka is also used in Anyoma. You understand? Emeka is used in many parts. No, let me come in. I said before, Michael Collins is an English name, yet he was not an English name.
Hold on. Hey, hold on 1 second, man. Now, brother Emeka, I gotta correct you on this one. I'm looking it up. They're saying Collins is an Irish name.
Michael
Collins may be regarded as a genuinely indigenous Irish name, ranked number 30 in Ireland. It is one of the most numerous surnames with an estimated Collins population of 14,000 persons. I'm looking this up right now, man. Okay, so Collins is an Irish name.
Okay,
and I knew that was an Irish name. You said that, like, oh.
Okay, but George Washington was also an English name, right?
I don't know, but I mean George Washington is, he's American, so I don't,
Yeah, it's George Washington fought against the British Empire, right?
Right. Some names to you might sound English, but they are from other parts of the United Kingdom. An example is Wallace. Wallace, you can say, is an English name, but it's a Scottish name. So to non-English or non-people from the United Kingdom, it all sounds English. But there are different groups that have different names. There's some names from Wales, there's some names from England, there's some names from Ireland. But to us, they all look English. So that's wrong to begin with. As Dinas just showed, Collins is an indigenous Irish name. Now, that aside,
George Washington.
What?
Oh, no, let him finish. Let him finish, Emeka. Let him finish. Go ahead.
Okay. That aside, I do know that there are numerous states in the Niger Delta that comprise of where lots of the oil wealth come from. Bayelsa being one major one, which is comprised of Igho people. I do know that. I know about Ogoni land. I know about the assassination of Dele Giwa at that time. I know about Ikotep, I know about even Port Harcourt having some resources and offshore. What?
Some resources, like seriously?
What did I say?
We're the treasure base of Nigeria. I think you know.
Where's the treasure base?
Yes, Rivers State is the treasure base of Nigeria. It's called treasure base. Even the motto of the state is treasure base.
What I'm talking about? I'm saying wealth is spread out across the Niger Delta. So what I'm saying is, me talking about Delta in particular, because I'm not from the other places. I was talking about Delta where I'm from. So but that didn't mean, and you can go back and look on the tape to say that I was saying Delta is the only place that has all the resources in the country. I meant the Delta. That's what I was talking about, the Delta. Because you can call it Niger Delta or the Delta. The name Delta State doesn't necessarily mean when you say the word Delta, it means you're just talking about Delta State. It's about the Delta region. So that's what I was trying to talk about. The other thing you were saying was that, what's the other thing you said? We talked about your name, we talked about the resources being spread out. Sorry, go on.
We're talking about definition of identity in our region.
Okay, identity. Well, as I said, sometimes there is a merger or mixing or blending across regions. As I was saying to someone today, the Robo people are in between Edo and in between Igbo, and they share some similarities in culture, in language, and even in food. The Robo are an offshoot of Edo people in Benin. primarily. Like my name Igho it means wealth or money in Yoruba language, but in Igbo it means ego. Ego is what money is. And then at the same time, there's an Oba in Benin, but there's an Ovie in Yoruba land. But there's also an Oba, or was an Oba in Yoruba land as well. So when the ethnicities that live next to each other, they share, and there are boundaries that are merged between each other. So which is why you are saying you are not Igbo, because you live somewhere else. I'm denying that a lot of your cultural similarities would be with the Igbos.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Yes or no?
Can I ask you something?
Well, I think he asked you a question, Emeka.
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, culturally, we're between both the Benin and Igbo ethnic nation because as I said, we're a hybrid ethnic nation. And that's where my question comes in. In African culture, when a man marries a woman and gets kids with the woman, where do the kids belong to? To the father's compound or to the mother's compound?
The father's compound.
Yes. So the fact that my ethnic nation has a Benin father and his children later had Igbo mothers, where do we come from? Where would you count us to?
Well, that's difficult to know from what you're saying now, because I was told your name is Emeka, so I'm not going to know all this information that you're saying now. And even still, okay, say example, like what is your surname?
My surname, Igho.
Okay, I'm not conversant with where that name would be from.
Igho means, you can ask any Benin man. Igho means death shall not take this child, or death will not. This child will not see death. That is a Benin language. So
yeah, it does sound better.
The first name is Iboid. The second name is Edoid. I think I blend. Yeah, and that's how many people in my ethnic nation have names like Osarochi and stuff like that. So you see a lot of even in our the names of our towns and villages, we have Evo, we have as well Ozoba and areas like that. So there's a lot of blend between both the Benin and the Igbo culture. Why it is like that? Because this is short history lesson. When there was the Oba Emawe in Benin, there was a great exodus of which his son left and traveled through Abo to River State, current River State, and where he married Igbo mothers. You know, in African culture, the men are in war or they are in the farm or they travel to somewhere like go and hunt in the bush. So the Igbo mothers stayed more at home with the children. So that is how the women had the influence on language and a lot of cultural life. So you know, women are the backbone of every nation, and women are the first teachers in life, and that is why you see some strong assimilation in our own ethnic nation. But at the end of the day, someone's name cannot determine his identity and his blood, because assimilation and human development over 1,000 years plays a huge role, especially when you are far away from your original home and you intermarry and interblend with your new neighbors, and that is how you get such mixtures. The second people that are our cousins are the Oba people of the Ogba people of Obaland, and the Beye people, which are also Benin names, which also have Igboid and Edoid names. So please let us be factual when we're discussing in public.
Okay, but I want to pull you up on this now, because you said the Niger Deltas are asking for secession. So you're basically saying people in Delta State, Bayelsa State, Cross River State, and Edo State are pretty much all asking for secession jointly. Is that what you're saying?
I have people from your own nation that belong to our movement that are asking for secession. I have a comrade from your, a strong comrade from your place, from your ethnic nation, that is my strong comrade for more than 3 years now, that is asking for secession. So if you're saying all, of course, not all are for independence. Some people enjoy enslavement. Some people are naturally masochists, but some people want freedom and want to benefit in their lifetime. So
yes, but we're talking about movements here. And if you're talking about your friend or one person asking for secession, that doesn't make a movement. What I was trying to say is there is no Niger Delta secession movement. There is no official one. That's what I'm trying to say. And you cannot prove that there is an official one. The main secession is Biafra. And to try and merge it and all the others as joining in is disingenuous.
no, that's not true.
People in the chat room are asking, which state are you from?
Rivers State.
Say that one again.
Rivers State. Rivers State.
Lagos.
Rivers. Like
okay.
Rivers State. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
So,
am I going ahead or are you going ahead?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine.
Okay.
Like everybody in the chat room saying you're Igbo.
Yeah, because they're ignorant.
Okay,
but you can't say that though, because in general, almost everyone.
Even the Nigerian constitution, we have Ikwere as an ethnic nationality. Ikwere never joined Biafra. Ikwere fought against the Biafran occupation time. Again, that is the problem in Africa. In Africa, we have intellectually, how will I say, misguided people that believe things like a name are enough to determine someone's identity. People share names in this world. The Kurdish people share names with the Turkish people, right? They have Turkish. Yes. They have more than 15 million Kurdish people in Turkey. They answer Turkish names, but they are not Turkish people. They are fighting for a Kurdish independent nation from in the east of Turkey. They have Turkish names, but they are Kurdish people who are related to the Farsi-speaking other areas of the Kurdish people, like Kurdish Iran, Kurdish Syria, Kurdish Iraq. So you have people in Kurdistan, in Kurdistan that have Turkish names but are not Turkish people. We have people in Brittany in North France, which are not French people. They are different people, but they were annexed by the French kingdom in the 14th century. And I have met people from Britain, and they told me they're not French people, even though they have French names, but they have a different language, and they have different culture and different roots. They are related to the Celtic people in Britain. They are related to the Basque people in Spain. So to say your name because your name is Jean and you speak French, for example, and you're from Breton, you are automatically French, doesn't mean that his bloodline is French. His bloodline is more related to the Celtic people of Britannia, Celtic people of Spain. So please, this is just a very simple way of just misunderstanding things, especially when people are not ready to look deep into anthropology and human development. People make such absolutely unintelligent statements.
It's a couple questions in the chat room. Question number one: if Niger Delta, if they were to separate from Nigeria, what happens when they run out of oil? And then number two, someone's saying that Niger Delta needs to be cleaned up first from its oil spill before it can be bargained as a geopolitical ship. What are your thoughts on that? People in the on the panel.
Okay. Okay, go
on. As I said, I don't think that is the way to go. I don't think it's not the way to go. I don't think it will happen. I don't think there's a consensus for determination on a Niger Delta scale. I don't think that exists. There are a lot of individual entities who would want to preserve their own sovereignty to the point that I don't think that can happen. Oil is running out in the world in general, and people are moving post-oil, moving away from an oil-based economy. So they need to start diversifying. And if I was in that position to make those decisions, I as well would not be focusing on an oil economy going forward. I would be diversifying and looking into other things. What I'd rather do would be looking at the whole of the African structure, because there's no point trying to break into smaller states within the West African, think about it as a whole, the state as a whole. Have to increase trade with them. You still have to interact with them. There's going to be a work base. There's going to be a movement of people, and it would be silly not to consider the African state.
All right, go ahead, Emeka.
Oil, I think even without oil, but which I doubt that the oil is going to dry up in the next 200 years. But even with that oil, the Niger Delta is very rich of agricultural products, especially areas like Igho, Calabar, Akwa Ibom, Delta State, River State. We have fertile lands, and we have a shoreline, and we have access to the sea. We are more than able to live without just on our own. But the oil, of course, is a major element, and definitely, if we get in our independence, even if the oil is enough for 50 years, that 50 years is enough to build a very sufficient federation and nation of Niger ethnic nationalities. It's mostly people that are against our independence that always talk about oil, because I think it's just a line to try to say, hey, what of if the oil is not there, stay in Nigeria, stay in this operation, stuff like that. On the Ogoni cleanup and on the Niger Delta cleanup village, it's all the fault of the central government. As long as we are in Nigeria will never take those issues seriously. If we have independence, we're going to do this for ourselves. As it is now, we can't do it because we have a state government that believes that we are third-class citizens and that our own matters are to be put last, and nobody can give us what.
Hello? Emeka, you still there? Hello? I think Emeka, you there? Yeah, I think we lost him. Let me ask you this question, Igho. Let's see what we got in the chat room. Now, I guess Emeka's ethnic group is so small that they would have to work with other ethnic groups. That's what somebody's saying in the chat room. Is that going to be the case?
I'm not sure what the population of River State is.
But they're saying this ethnic group, the Ikwerre, am I saying that right? IKWER.
Yeah, they're definitely smaller. They're not. I mean, from the largest ones, I'll tell you. So there's Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba. There's Hausa. There's Igbo. Then there's a Robo even before you even get to them. Then sorry, Ijo probably even there. So his is a smaller group. You definitely have to work with others to be able to try and get your sovereignty, because or just make it an autonomous group to start with, if that's what they're looking for. But to have the whole Niger Delta, and we're talking about Fido Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and possibly Anambra, maybe. That's like 5 states around the Niger Delta and the tributary rivers. And there is no consensus right now. No one is seeking sovereignty on that scale.
Okay.
Currently.
I was under the impression that, you know, it was his people, what's the term, ethnic group, that they control the Niger Delta, but they don't. That's what you're saying?
No, they don't. They don't. The largest, I think, is the Igho. The largest are the Igho, who are in Bayelsa State, which is at the very tip, at the bottom of the country, leading out to the Atlantic Ocean. Then Delta is just above it, and then there's rivers as well right next to Bayelsa. So there's oil on all those places. But when he says controls the whole thing, no, they don't.
Oh, okay. So now it's starting to make sense now that you're right. It'll be unreasonable. I mean, since his ethnic group is so small, let me ask you: is this ethnic group, are they the majority in any state or in Nigeria at all, or no?
From what I've heard, I mean, to be very frank, I haven't even heard of them before. We've got like 400. If that, and the same way he was talking about names, I'm sure if I asked him a few names up north, he wouldn't know them. He would think they were all either Hausa or Fulani, and that's easy for people who don't know about it. So I wouldn't call it ignorant. But then for his state, I haven't really heard about his group, because that lets me know that they're not as large. They're definitely a smaller group. Might be like, I don't know, 8th largest or 9th or 10th or something like that, but they're definitely not one of the main groups in the country. I'm still I mean, what did he call him? What was his name? Ikwere. I didn't see his shirt quite clearly.
Yeah, it's Ikwere. Sure. That's his shirt. IKWERRE.
Ikwere.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard about that, and I know partly responsible for something called MEND, which is a movement for the emancipation of Niger Delta. I think they're part of that group as well, and it's spread across the Niger Delta. But people are not as populous.
Now, are there people in the Niger Delta right now that don't want to leave Nigeria? Like, is this common?
So I said that again. I didn't hear you.
Are there people in the Niger Delta, a number of people that want to stay in Nigeria? They don't want to leave Nigeria.
There are those that don't want to leave and those who want to stay. You know, so those that don't want to leave and those who do want to leave. But as bodies, as organizations, there aren't any. I mean, the Niger Delta Avengers and those people who are destroying the pipelines, the armed militia group, they aren't really seeking to leave the Niger Delta. They're trying to get reparations and to get the resources for themselves and their people. I don't believe their mandate is to secede. That's not their mandate. So, and even recently there was a joint consensus. It was called Handshake across the Niger, where all the governors of all the states from the southern to the south, from southwest to the south to east, all came joining together to show solidarity with each other. I think, and this was in response to some coming down from the north and people who are agitating for restructuring of the country. So I haven't seen any concerted effort or any large enough body calling for secession of the Niger Delta. No.
Okay, so let's deal with Biafra a little bit. So is this movement that so what's going on in the Niger Delta isn't really like Biafra. Now Biafra wants to completely separate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But what you're saying is the Niger Delta, they don't want to separate. They just want, I would say, equality or to be treated fair. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, as I said again, there will be those who do want it, but they're not a large enough body or an organization, and definitely not seeing that on a scale. I mean, you'd have some people saying they have some groups and they can name it Niger Delta Group, Niger Delta. They're not the group of states that make up Niger Delta. They can call themselves like call there's nothing federal about federal. So if people call themselves Niger Delta Secessionist Group, you have to have a major body. You have to have senators. You have to have people, civic lawyers, legal profession people who are there activists on a larger scale to say they're trying to secede, and that doesn't exist. I think we have to show the distinction between Niger Delta and Biafra. Niger Delta is not asking to secede. Biafra are not Niger Delta. They don't comprise of Delta states or Bayelsa, primarily Igbo states, which would be Anambra, Imo, maybe Cross River, and those states have nothing to do with the Niger Delta. They are 100% Igbo states who want self-determination the same way it happened back in the 60s, which caused the war. But I don't think it's the same thing. Maybe we should make a clear distinction between Biafra and Niger Delta. They're different.
Okay. All right. Let's see what other questions we have in the chat room. Hopefully, Emeka can get back on. In fact, that's probably him messaging right there. Let's see what he says.
And just I know was trying to make these people sound so distinct and say people are ignorant. But some text now. The Ikwere people are a separate group from Igbo. You know, they're an offshoot from Igbo. The same way I said.
So he's technically Igbo.
Yeah, I mean, how far back he wants to call it? I mean, the only difference with him is he has different places, and that's why his might sound unique. But Ikwere people are essentially Igbo. I don't think they speak an Ikwere language. And I'd like him to confirm that if they speak a separate language, I'm pretty sure they speak Igbo. So maybe he can come back and speak on that. But I don't think they speak a different dialect. Again, it might be a different dialect, but ultimately the names of the people would be Igbo. You'd see lots of names like that. They wouldn't be different. It wouldn't be different. Whereas, as I said, culture in Urhobo, money is ego. In Igbo, it's ego. Being who is from is a different thing. You can see how these things go, but again, there's a subgroup of Igbo people in Ikwere.
Okay, all right, yeah, because everybody keeps saying he's Igbo, and he's like, no, I'm not Igbo, but everybody that comes in the chat is saying he's Igbo. So okay, because it's kind of like in Namibia, you have the Himba, and then you have a offshoot of the Himba called the Herero. So, but they acknowledge each other as pretty much being the same. Versus Emeka, who's Iriwe, if I said that right. But
Ikwere. Is Ikwere.
Bring the computer here. Yeah, okay. So makes sense now. Yeah, everybody's like he's Igbo. All the Nigerians who are in the chat. So he's saying he's having some internet problems, so he's going to I guess get that situated.
Yeah, I mean, just in case, because I'm sure we're gonna have some more conversations as time goes along, so he doesn't get upset. I know how some people can get upset when you just say you're this or you're that. You know, it's like someone from the north would look down at me and say I'm Igbo. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they would say. So you're all Igbo, Yoruba and Igbo. That's the way they think about it up north. So This is a misconception that does happen. But when the differences are so subtle, like in his instance, it's so subtle. It's easy for people to look at the larger group rather than identify the subgroup, and that's a small subgroup.
I mean, how many people do you know, or is it common for people to in the region where Emeka's from to think like Emeka?
You mean with regards to what, secession or?
But pretty much is the way he's thinking, or you know. His solution is that common?
It It is. I dare say it is. It is common. I mean, the Biafra War still reigns on people, and not just because of the Biafra War. There's been a lack of input of a lack of representation in the national quarters as president, whereas we've had presidents from all presidents have had Hausa, Fulani.
Okay. Okay.
And the kind of, misgivings there of saying, look, we're not treated fairly. So recently, I think a few years ago, there was a guy who came and started a movement who resurrected the whole Biafra movement. His name was Nnamdi Kanu. He started a radio station in London, and then he implemented from before, and people now started erecting that anger against the state, calling for secession. And a lot of these people have come back up again. So there are a lot of people who do have the same sentiment as him, who want to secede, who don't believe Nigeria works. And Nigeria doesn't work. I agree, Nigeria doesn't work. But for them to be a landlocked country, separated from the rest of the country, without the rest of the country following suit, I don't think will work. It has to be clear autonomy in the African sense, in the kind of super state sense in which I'm talking about. That's what I personally believe. So I don't believe that'll work.
Okay. Somebody in the chat room said, they said that there are a subgroup of Igbo people. However, they are seen as a separate group according to the Nigeria Constitution. I think he did say in a stream from weeks back that he spoke Ikriwe. So let's see if he speaks Ikriwe.
Like me, because I've never heard of that before. But as I know, Venus language would have changed that much. It would be a dialect, in my humble opinion. Hopefully he can correct me, but I wouldn't want to speak for him. Okay. But yeah, with the name Emeka and saying he wasn't Igbo was quite confusing, because that's a clearly quintessential Igbo name.
All right, so he said he's coming back on, so let's give him a couple more minutes. If he can't for some if he can't for some reason, we'll go ahead and close out. Oh, and also too, please tell everybody about about your group as well.
Okay, the group's called Dark. We've got a page on YouTube. It's Dark, an acronym for Diaspora Africa Renaissance Channel. Get the details. My email is darcafrica@gmail.com. On Twitter, Instagram as well. We talk about African Renaissance and the contributions from the diaspora, and trying to get the contributions and input from around the world and a consensus on how we can bring about the Renaissance quicker and in a more effective way. Okay,
let me go ahead and put the contact information in the chat.
Thanks for that.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem.
There's another thing I was going to mention before he comes back on, which is
go ahead.
This issue about even tribal culture. I know he said in the African sense, your father's culture, but I can't believe that over time there would have been some missed or some oversight in that situation, where some people just generally become part of another culture or tribe over time. And with this mixing and blending, I give an example. Okay, I'm a Robo, but I lived in Lagos, and I grew up understanding their culture, language, and everything about them. Even a Yoruba name as well, just like him. He has an Igbo name, being from Benin. I have a Yoruba name, but I'm a Robo. So at some point, you have to ask the question, can people change their tribe? Change their tribe? Can people be from another culture? Can people be from both as equally as they can be from an individual one? I think that's a question to ask.
We got a question in the chat room. Did you ever, when we had the last stream yesterday or the day before last, did you ever speak on how the Bantu Federation would deal with the white South African problem situation?
No, I never did, but I think they're dealing with it pretty well. I don't think they need any extra help on that.
Okay, but how would the Bantu Federation deal with the Afrikaners?
They want their land back, land expropriation without compensation. I think I agree with that. So just continue. I don't see. I wouldn't call for violence or expulsion or anything like that. But the land should return to the rightful owners as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know what's going on with. I don't know when the brother is coming back. I don't know what's going on, but
I think he's back.
Oh, he's back. Oh, Emeka, we were just talking about you.
I'm sorry.
We were just talking about you. Hey, so Emeka, your ethnic group is a subgroup of the Igbo people. Is that correct?
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Really? I didn't call Ikwere.
Yes, Ihoha. Ikwere is a nickname. Ikwere, you see, that's why I say you're ignorant of many things. You should try and travel around in the Niger Delta.
No, but I'm looking at some information here, and it clearly says that Ikwere are a separate group from Igbo of the southeast Nigeria.
Is it all self-authored by Biafrans, expansionists? Is it authored on Wikipedia? What is that? What is that they're saying? Can you tell me?
Sorry?
Which source do you have?
I don't quote. I mean, even on Wikipedia, it says that. That was the first point of call I checked, and then as you said, I was about to check the kind of Nigeria glossary of cultures, and then go back from there. Something I need to check out even more. But from the first things I've seen, it just says they're a subgroup of Igbo. And it's Ikwere, Ikwerre.
Yes, and now let me teach you.
Hey, Emeka, you're hey, press 1 in the chat room if you can hear Emeka clearly, because it's not coming through clearly, the sound.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah. Can you hear him clearly, Igho?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay, all right, go ahead. It must be me then. Go ahead.
So, Ikwere, the name alone, is a nickname. It's not our original native name. Ikwere is a nickname given to us by strangers. Yes, you know, in Africa, many times we answer names that was given, like for example, my ethnic nation is asking a name that was given to us by strangers. Ikwere was a nickname given to us by.
Hey, Emeka, your sound is
Well, wait.
No, but we can't. It's a lot of static. You sound like a robot.
Okay. I don't know what's.
I don't know. It's do this. Restart your browser, or maybe restart your computer. But everybody's saying it is sharp. I knew it wasn't just the it's not clear. Is like,
it better now?
Say that one more time.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
So, Ikwere was given to us by strangers. The British colonial officers in the 19th century, which documented some documents, which were in charge of some documents, called us the Ikwere people, which the Igbos called us. And that is why it was written like that, and it was taken like that since then. But our original name is not Ikwere. Our original name is Ihoha. So, which is a Benin term. If you ask any Benin person, he will tell you that Ihoha means death shall not take this child. Ihoha is the third son of Akalaka, who left Benin Kingdom when there was turmoil, and traveled through Agbo to present-day Port Harcourt. On these issues, we have to be more specific and factual as well. We have to go back to history as well. Just like the name Emeka, you said is Igbo, and we said okay, most is an Igbo name. But at the end of the day, if you go to the roots, are you hearing me well?
Yeah.
You as an Urubu man, I don't know, you should have heard of Eweka, the great prince Eweka. Have you heard of Eweka, the great prince of Benin? Founder of the Eweka dynasty, the Oba dynasty. These are things I expect you to know. Eweka was the founder of the Benin Oba dynasty. When the last Ogiso died, and his grandson Eweka left and came back to Benin. His name was Eweka, which is the originator of Emeka. Eweka came from Great Benin. If you can check this up. I mean, you were checking up.
Why should I know that?
Why shouldn't you know that? You're an Orobo. You are an offshoot of the.
That's not an Orobo name, and that's not an Orobo person. Why should I know that?
But you said you're an offshoot of the Edo people. You're supposed to know some Edo culture. If you Google the same way you Google the Kwena with its false information, please Google Eweka, Eweka. Eweka is a Benin name, which is the first time that name came up, and that is how Emeka was turned from Eweka. Eweka came first in the Benin dynasty. The Ogiso grandson name was Eweka.
So are you saying Igbos came from Edo?
No. I'm saying that these names, even okay, we even have some other terms that are similar, but this name now came from Benin, from Great Benin. You can check it up. Eweka is the founder of the Oba dynasty, the current Oba dynasty, Eweka the Great. So these are things you have to check up in history so that you understand the way things mixed up. My people are on the male lane of Great Benin ancestry. On the female lane, later intermixed and intermarried with Igbos along the line, which had a lot of cultural assimilation after almost 1,000 years of mixing up and leaving the Benin homeland. But to be very frank, we have to also understand that nobody can tell someone where he comes from, because that is a fascist, and that is a typical Nigerian approach on people and their identity. Someone's identity is sacrosanct. Nobody can know my identity more than me. So for someone to say that he's using your name, he's using a name to determine your identity or determine where you belong to or determine your history or roots is absolutely wrong, because we don't do it. You can't see someone answering Stephen and say you know exactly his bloodline and everything. That's ridiculous.
Okay. I know everyone. I agree. Everyone has the right to their own identity and to say where they're from or what they believe in. But when you talk about a group of people, that has antecedents, that has history, that has geographical, landmarks, evidence. There's things that you can go by on that premise. And what I know. Did you hear me?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, speaking for yourself, for your identity is one thing. Only you will know that. You can only get that from you on questioning. But when you're talking about facts, those need archaeology, those need artwork, those need text, those need a lot more information. So now, from what I know, and I'm not convinced from what you've been saying that do not have Igbo ancestry. I believe they do. I don't believe that they are from geographically. That doesn't make sense. And the language and the naming system and everything, then culturally, from what I've seen just now, doesn't make sense either. When people spread out from a dynasty, there will be those instances where there might be the other one that will be so far away and then create a similar culture to where it is, but usually they spread out that way, and then as they get dispersed, it then dissolves to the next what's it called, the next culture or the next nationality. But from what I've seen from Igho, the naming system, culturally, location, who's next to, they are, to me, an Igbo offshoot, and I can't see anything that expels that.
Well, your opinion is your opinion. It doesn't change the reality of our people at the end of the day. But all I'm trying to tell you is.
Okay, let me ask you this quickly. So, what makes a people? How can you define?
Blood.
Yeah.
Blood.
Like how can you define a culture that hasn't, or how it has been diluted, and from who it's been diluted? Because we start to become subjective, what we're saying.
Okay, what makes a people is blood, bloodline. It's all about blood.
Okay, but if we were to do a genetic test now, nothing is going to show that I'm from a specific state or specific even group of people. It would be so generic. It says come from where is modern day Nigeria. That's as much as a genetic test will.
Okay, can I show you something? Because I repeat, you need to travel the Niger Delta. You know how the Benin monarchs look, right? You would recognize one when you see one, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Emeka, this is what I like to do too. I like to find somebody, because everybody, like the majority of people, disagree with you. Do you have anyone or know anyone that agrees with you in totality?
No. See, that is why Nigeria is evil, because Nigeria has created some sort of mainstream education that suits them. They put people in a corner and think that they can determine how to call who. That is why we really need freedom from Nigeria, because hello?
Yeah, right here. We're here.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hello?
Did you ask a question?
I don't know. I think he fell off again. Yeah, I think we lost him. But this is what we'll do. We'll go ahead and close out, and we'll close out by asking the question again. Niger Delta Republic versus one Nigeria. Do you think a concept like this, having a Niger Delta being its own, I guess, nation, is that something that's sustainable? Is it something that is that an actual logical solution?
I'd like to start first by why he wants to secede and to be their own sovereign nation. Ultimately, the people they elected and the people who voted have failed in their duty to be able to use the resources for the benefit of their people. They've had a lot of governors that have come through and have siphoned all the money, kept it in foreign banks, and that's why a lot of them aren't as successful as they should be. So we should start there. So if they did have good leadership and good electorate, they could have solved those problems before. That's one thing to look at. So there's resource management issues and electoral issues and having a very responsible leadership conveyor belt or line. In fact, the governor of the Delta State, I only talk about Delta State because I know more about it, was someone who stole a lot of money, hid it all in the countries. He was actually arrested for embezzlement, and he was in prison in the UK for about 2 years, released backed Delta State to a hero's welcome. To a hero's welcome, people lined the street and were celebrating him. So that just lets you know the mindset of some of the people there, in that this person stole a lot of your money, siphoned it off, didn't develop the state as much as he should or could have, and then they're bringing him back to hero's welcome. So there's a lot of corruption there. If that's resolved, when people are doing well, they don't ask for secession, they don't ask for self-determination when things are going well. It's when they're not going well. And things aren't going well in the Niger Delta. Can they go well? Yes. Without secession, yes. It just has to be a better electorate, a better mandate, a better quality of leadership that they put into power, who is accountable. And I think if they employ such things, they wouldn't really need to ask for self-determination, and not in the way that they're asking for it, to be a group separate from the rest of the country, which is not sustainable. I mean, it can be sustainable, but there's no real point to it, in my opinion, especially when it doesn't fit into the larger African project.
Right.
So that's what I think about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, thank you for coming on. I'm sorry that we had some technical difficulties in regards to, I guess, Emeka. He just messaged me. Let me hear what he said. But he wants me to show you this picture. Hold on one second. What is this?
Before you show it, I'm guessing it's already big beads around their necks.
Yeah. This picture right here. Can you guys see that? Hold on.
I can barely. Yeah. That's the king. Okay.
So yeah. So he wanted me to show you that.
So that's their king.
Okay.
From an Aquarian king, I'm guessing, or Aquarian monarch. Is it?
I believe so. Let me. Who is this guy? I'm guessing that's his king. But he's replying back. But go ahead and finish your.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, when it's that small and there's so many of them across, the whole of it's hard to know the different eccentricities. Even just a robo moving out from Edo, they have all these changes. From Oba, it becomes OVA, but a lot of language similarities are still there. So I can understand, but then we have to say, where does it start from? Do we just look at ourselves as we existed from time immemorial, or we feed back into the origin? And the origin is Bantu people. Just movements and changes over time make us have different cultures, different languages. So it's not to disrespect his culture or to say it doesn't exist really independent and it's Igbo. No, I'm just saying it has its origins in Igbo, very strongly obvious and evident, and it has its origins in Igbo land or Igbo culture. But hope I can be able to speak to him again.
Absolutely, I'll make it happen. Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, but yeah, he was asking you. He wanted you to answer the question as far as who is this monarch. But I mean,
I don't know.
No. Okay, hold on.
No, I have no clue.
Somebody's saying it's the Oba of Benin, but I don't think this is the Oba of Benin. I don't think this is.
I see that anyway, but I don't see that as his dress. I've never seen him in that kind of outfit before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's. Nah, this is not the Oba of Benin.
No, it's not. He actually wears glasses as well, so that's not him.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you coming on. I will be on your platform later on today. Just let me know. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Again, if you're new to this platform, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to searchforhuru.com. Make sure you go to dynastysamir.com, and make sure you go to amazon.com, search your name, Dynasty Samir. Also go to Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Search for Uhuru. Again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Till next time, peace.
Peace.